morning, boys and girls. I hope you're all doing well. I hope you're all healthy. I hope you're having some fun at home. What Ms. Fortenberry and I are going to do every morning is we are going to read a story for you. So that way, while you're still at home, your mom or your dad, grandma or grandpa, or any family member can turn the computer on for you and you can listen to us read a story. So today's story is going to be A Chair for My Mother. Remember, we're still in the building study, so every book that I read for the next couple of days or longer will be about buildings. So if you remember this story, this is a story about a little girl and her mother and grandmother who were saving up money in a jar to buy a chair. Because what happened in the story? What was the problem? They lost all of their belongings in a fire that happened to their apartment. So let me start the story. My mother works as a waitress in the Blue Tile Diner. Remember, waitress is a woman that serves people's food at a restaurant, at a diner, and a diner is a place where you can eat hamburgers, cheeseburgers, maybe some soups, sandwiches, food that you can eat that will not take that long to prepare. After school sometimes I go to meet her there. Then her boss Josephine gives me a job too. I wash the salts and peppers and fill the ketchups. One time I peeled all the onions for the onion soup. When I finish, Josephine says, "Good work, honey," and pays me. And every time I put half of my money into the jar. It takes a long time to fill this big jar. Every day when my mother comes home from work, I take down the jar. My mama empties all her change from the tips out of her purse for me to count. Remember what I said about the word tips? Tips is what people, the extra money, the customers, give the waitress or the waiter. The waiter is a man, the waitress is a woman, for giving them thanks for their service. Then we push all of the coins into the jar. Sometimes my mama's laughing when she comes home from work. Sometimes she's so tired she falls asleep while I count the money out into piles. Some days she has lots of tips. Some days she only has a little. Then she looks worried. But each evening, every single shiny coin goes into the jar. Take a look at this jar. Isn't that a big jar? They are going to be able to raise a lot of money for their chair. When we can't get a single other coin into the jar, we are going to take out all the money and go and buy a chair. Yes, a chair, a wonderful, beautiful, fat, soft armchair. We will get one covered in velvet with roses all over it. We are going to get into the best chair in the whole world. That is because our old chairs burned up. There was a big fire in our other house. All our chairs burned. So did our sofa and so did everything else. That wasn't such a long time ago. My mother and I were coming home from buying new shoes. I had new sandals. She had new pumps. We were walking to our house from the bus. We were looking at everyone's tulips. She was saying she liked red tulips. I was saying I like yellow ones. Then we came to our block. So here are the tulips, red, yellow and red. Right outside our house stood two big fire engines. I could see lots of smoke, tall orange flames out of the roof. All the neighbors stood in a bunch across the street. Mama grabbed my hand and we ran. My Uncle Sandy saw us and ran to us. Mama yelled, "Where's Mother?" I yelled, "Where's my grandma?" My Aunt Ida waved and shouted, she's here, she's okay, don't worry." Grandma was all right. Our cat was safe too, though it took a while to find her, but everything else in our whole house was spoiled. The word spoiled in this story, friends, means that everything was ruined. So when something goes bad, it is spoiled. So the furniture was spoiled, the food that they had in their refrigerator was spoiled as well. What was left of the house was turned to charcoal and ashes. We went to stay with my mother's other sister, Aunt Ida. and Uncle Sandy. Then we were able to move into the apartment downstairs. We painted the walls yellow. The floors were all shiny, but the rooms were very empty. The first day we moved in, the neighbors brought pizza and cake and ice cream. They brought a lot of other things too. The family across the street brought a table and 3 kitchen chairs. The very old man next door gave us a bed from when his children were little. My other grandpa brought us his beautiful rug. My mother's other sister Sally had made us red and white curtains. Mama's boss Josephine brought us pots and pans, silverware and dishes. My cousin brought me her own stuffed bear. Everyone clapped when my grandma made a speech. "You are all the kindest people," she said, "and we thank you very much. It's lucky we're young and can start all over." So these were all the gifts that they received from the neighbors after losing all of their belongings from the fire. That was last year, but we still have no sofa and no big chairs. When Mama comes home, her feet hurt. There's no good place for me to take a load off my feet. She says, when Grandma wants to sit back and hum and cut up potatoes, she has to get as comfortable as she can on a hard kitchen chair. So that is how come Mama brought home the biggest jar she could find at the diner, and all the coins started to go into the jar. Now the jar is too heavy for me to lift down. Uncle Sandy gives me a quarter. He had to boost me up so I could put it in. Look at all those coins. Do you think they have enough money to buy their chair? After supper, Mama and Grandma and I stood in front of the jar. Well, I never would have believed it, but I guess it's full, Mama said. My mother brought home little paper wrappers for the nickels and the dimes and the quarters. I counted them all out and wrapped them up. On my mother's day off from work, we took all the coins to the bank. The bank exchanged them for $10 bills. Then we took the bus downtown to shop for the chair. We shopped through 4 furniture stores. We tried out big chairs, smaller ones, high ones, and low chairs, soft chairs, and harder ones. Grandma said she felt like Goldilocks in the 3 bears trying out all the chairs. Remember that story? When Goldilocks tried out Papa Bear's chair, and Mama Bear's chair, and Baby Bear's chair. Finally, we found the chair we were all dreaming of, and the money in the jar was enough to pay for it. We called Aunt Ida and Uncle Sandy. They came right down in their pickup truck to drive the chair home for us. They knew we couldn't wait for it to be delivered. I tried out our chair in the back of the truck. Mama wouldn't let me sit there while we drove, but they let me sit in it while they carried it up to the door. We set the chair right beside the window with the red and white curtains. Grandma and Mama and I all sat in it while Aunt Ida took our picture. Now Grandma sits in it and talks with people going by the daytime. Mama sits and watches the news on TV when she comes home from her job. After supper, I sit with her and she can reach up right and turn out the light, and I fall asleep in her lap. The end. Okay, boys.